Hello again. Returning back to our reading of Guard Your Tongue, Pliskin's English translation on the Hovaxheim's codification for or towards derogatory or evil speech. Um, I dedicate this reading to Ed Pisker, and I also dedicate the reading to those responsible for the sped arrow. And I'm not here to judge Ed or the people that have spoken out derogatorily about Ed, but according to this, it will be judged. And we left off with the reading of the prohibitions, which would be the negative commandments, which there were 17 of them, the thou shalt nots, if you will. And we're going to pick up with the positive commandments. And there are 31 in all, so there's another 14 here of positive, which makes up the 31, adding to the 17. But before we get started, I just want to say something here. I am in no way a representative of Judaism or the rabbinic community. I have learned much over the years from the teachings of by several of the teachers, sages from the past, as well as rabbis. And but I don't want anyone getting the wrong impression about me. I already get enough heat about that sort of thing, speaking on these things when I myself have not been very observant, if you will. And on that note, I'd also say that I'm just as guilty as the next guy when it comes to Lashon Hara, and I hope we'll all learn something here. Anyway, let's pick up with the positive commandments. Number 1, remember what the Lord your God did unto Miriam by the way as you came forth out of Egypt. Devarim 24:9. That would be Deuteronomy. The Torah obligates us to vocally recall the punishment of Miriam received for speaking Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu being Moses or Moshe. Rambam commentary. There were numerous factors that might have mitigated the gravity of Miriam's sin and thus her punishment. 1. She spoke about her brother whom she loved dearly. 2. She risked her life to save Moshe when he was an infant. 3. She raised him in his childhood. 4. She did not say anything actually derogatory about Moshe. She merely minimized the extent of his greatness. 5. Since she did not speak in Moshe's presence, he didn't suffer embarrassment. 6. She did not speak against him in public. She privately spoke to Aaron, her brother. 7. Moshe Rabbeinu was the paragon of humility and was not affected by what Miriam said about him. Nevertheless, despite her righteousness, Miriam was punished with leprosy. Anyone who speaks Lashon Hara violates the commandment to recall what Hashem Yisborach did to Miriam. And there's a footnote here. Footnote. Rav Bethzalel HaKohen of Vilna once told the Chovetz Chaim that if someone studies the laws pertaining to Lashon Hara, he fulfills the mitzvah of remembering Miriam's punishment. And number 2, love your neighbor as yourself. Vayikra, or Leviticus 19, verse 18. The Torah obligates us to be equally considerate of the property and dignity of others as we are of our own. Rambam Deos 5, verse 3. By speaking or listening to Lashon Hara, a person shows that he does not love the subject. definitely not to the degree that he loves himself. Although a person might be aware of his own faults, he does not want anyone else to speak about them. If anyone does relate his faults, he hopes that the listeners will reject what they hear. Anyone who speaks or accepts Lashon Hara violates this commandment. Number 3, in righteousness shall ye judge your neighbor. Vayikra, again, Leviticus 19, verse 15. This verse obligates us to give someone the benefit of the doubt when we see him performing an action that could be interpreted in his favor. Rambam Sefer HaMitzvos, Positive Precept 177. If an average mitzvah observer does or says something, and the chances of a favorable judgment and unfavorable judgment are equal, we must grant him a favorable judgment. If the person in question is a God-fearing man, we must judge him favorably, even if the unfavorable side outweighs the favorable one. If you assume that this person's actions was improper and you relate it in that manner to others, besides violating the prohibition of Lashon Hara, you also violate this commandment. Often a narrative may consist of entirely true facts, but because the action or words referred to were taken out of context, a completely distorted picture is conveyed. Also, many things are said or done in anger that under normal circumstances would not have been said or done. It is unfair to judge such incidents without taking the circumstances into consideration. 4. If your brother be waxen poor, and his means fail him when he is with you, then you shall uphold him. Again, Vayikra, or Leviticus 25:35. The Torah obligates us to give financial aid to a fellow Jew in order to prevent his becoming poor. This could be in the form of a grant, a loan, or a source of income. Rambam Matnos Aniim 10:7. If you relate Lashon Hara, and as a consequence the subject loses his job or income, you have violated this commandment. Number 5, you shall rebuke your neighbor. Vayikra 19:17. If someone begins to tell you Lashon Hara, and instead of rebuking him, you assist him in listening to his narrative, you violate this commandment. It is important to remember that rebuke should be administered as soon as you realize that a narrative contains Lashon Hara. Do not wait until the other person finishes speaking. Every single word of Lashon Hara is a separate transgression, and it is your obligation to stop the other person from sinning. 6. To him shall you cleave. Devorim 10:20. This commandment requires us to keep in the company of Talmidai Kakomen, so that we should learn from their example. Rambam Edeos 6, verse 1-2. If you forsake their company to join a group of people, you are speaking Lashon Hara. You violate this commandment. Number 7, you shall fear my sacred place. Vayikra 19:30. We are obligated to act with reverence when we enter a shul or base medrash, since they are considered a mikdash mayat, a minor scale. Beis hamikdash. Yerem 3:44. Mishnah Berurah 151:1. Anyone who speaks Lashon Hara in a shul or base medrash violates this commandment. 8. Before the gray-haired you shall rise up, and you shall honor the face of the old man. Vayikra 19:32. This verse requires us to honor a Torah scholar, even if he is not aged, and an elderly person, even if he is not a scholar. Kiddushin 32b. If someone relates Lashon Hara about a Talmud Kochem, or an elderly person, in his presence, he violates this commandment. Number 9, you shall sanctify him. Vayikra 21:8. This verse obligates us to show respect to Kohanim, members of the priestly family. If you speak Lashon Hara about the Kohen in his presence, you violate this commandment. 10. Honor your father and mother. Shmos 20, 12. The Torah obligates us to honor our parents. If you speak Lashon Hora about your father or mother, you violate this commandment. This verse also includes an elder brother. Keshubas 103a. 11. The Lord your God shall you fear. Devorim, or Deuteronomy 10:20. We are obligated to realize that Hashem Yishborak is aware of every move we make, and that there is retribution for every wrongdoing. Someone who is careless with his speech violates this commandment. Number 12. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Devorim 6:7. Every single word of the Torah that you study is a fulfillment of a mitzvah. See Shinos Eliyohu Peah. Conversely, for every single word of Lashon Hora that you speak, you are guilty of Betul Torah, not having spent your time fruitfully in studying Torah. 13. From a false matter you shall keep yourself far. Shmos 23:7. If you add untrue details to the Lashon Hora that you speak about someone, you violate this commandment. And finally, number 14. Walk in his ways. Devorim 28:9. We are required to emulate the attributes of Hashem Yisborak. Just as he is merciful and compassionate, so too we must be merciful and compassionate. Shabbos 133b. Among God's attributes is his hatred for Lashon Hora. When Jericho was conquered, a ban was put on taking spoil from the city. When the army was defeated, in the subsequent battle, Joshua was told by God that the ban was violated. Joshua asked God for the identity of the transgressor, but God replied, "Am I an informer? Make a lottery to find out." Joshua 7, Sanhedrin 11a. Anyone speaking Lashon Hora has failed to emulate God and violates this commandment. That's the end of the 31 positive and negative commandments. Next time we'll pick up with part 2, the laws of Lashon Hora. Thanks for joining.